Very recently, I had been to this beautiful hill station called Dharamkot in McLeodganj, just 8 kilometers from Dharamshala. Now, I'm from Mumbai, and hence traveling to the mountains is a long journey for us. That's of course if you don't have much money. So, how to reach Dharamshala from Mumbai? The nearest railway station is Pathankot, which is 90 kilometers away, then Jalandhar, which is 200 kilometers away, and Chandigarh, which is 250 kilometers away. You can also get down at Delhi, which is 480 kilometers away, and take an overnight bus to Dharamshala. The same buses come to Chandigarh at midnight, so you can hop onto it and reach Dharamshala early in the morning. If you reach Chandigarh in the day, then you can take the state transport buses, which takes around 7 hours. From Pathankot, you get local buses to Dharamshala, which takes around 3 hours and will cost you 200 rupees. From Jalandhar too, you can take the state transport buses or local buses, which takes around 5 hours, but direct buses are very rare. We took a train till Chandigarh, and from there we plan to go in a bus to Dharamshala. We reached Chandigarh by 6:30 p.m. and our bus to Dharamshala was at 12:45 in the night, which meant we had a lot of time to kill. So we headed to sector 17, which is also called as the heart of Chandigarh. The rickshaw guy charges around 150 rupees from the railway station to sector 17. Upon reaching, we saw a man singing and playing an iktara. After filling our souls with this beautiful song, we headed to Sindhi Sweets to fill our stomach. It's a famous store here. We ordered golgappes and chole bhature. Chole bhature was too good and the bhature looked like a huge puri. For the dessert, we chose gulab jamun. Sector 17 is like a market area where you can shop, eat and drink, and the best part is that it has a big space to walk around. Coming from Mumbai, it feels humongous. There's also a fountain show that happens here, which is actually good. Not like the Dubai fountain show and all, but for a person like me who hasn't seen any, it's really good. While we were enjoying the fountain, more than half of the shops had closed and the remaining were about to close. That's one thing you need to remember, things wind up pretty soon here. 9:30 here felt like midnight in Mumbai. We still had more than 3 hours to board the bus, so we thought of visiting a bar, a good place to kill time and eventually yourself. We chose to go to City Cabana, a rooftop bar in sector 17. We had a few drinks, watched the IPL match and left by 11:30. We then took a rig to our bus stand. There was only one rickshaw on the entire stretch of road when we came down from the bar. The entire place was deserted. So I'm guessing it's difficult to find rickshaws in the night here. We got down in sector 52 opposite the ISBT in sector 43, just in front of the HP petrol pump. This is where all the private Volvo buses towards Manali and Dharamshala comes. Next day in the morning by 6 we reached Dharamshala, and from there we took a taxi to a hostel in Dharamkot. Keep in mind that the bus will drop you at Dharamshala even though it says Mcleodganj in the ticket. No point in calling up the customer care at dawn. 1, they won't pick up, and 2, Volvo buses can't run on the small roads of Mcleodganj. The taxi guy took 600 rupees from us, but the actual fare is 500 rupees. Be alert. For now, you know. Within half an hour, we reached the hostel in Dharamkot, but they only open at 8 am, so we kept staring at the map outside hostel, which is actually quite informative. Opposite hostel, we have the sit-out area for Hina Cafe, where we kept our luggage and sat for 2 hours. Beautiful views. By 8 am, the town was coming to life, but hostel was still closed, so we had a breakfast at Hina Cafe. Food here is costly and the taste is not impressive at all. By 8:30, the common area of hostel was open and we moved our asses inside along with our luggage, both physical and mental. After 2 hours of playing dart and carom, our beds were ready and we were allowed to check in. Please note that the check-in time at hostel is 12. If beds are available, you may be able to check in at 10. So this is the 6-bed dorm room of the hostel at Dharamkot in McLeodganj. This is my bag on my bed, and these are the other bunk beds. The duvets here are really good. This is the balcony and this is the view from here. Coming to the bathroom, it's a basic one with a commode, shower head and geyser. The bathrooms are cleaned daily. So after checking in, completing all the formalities and freshening up, it was almost lunchtime and we headed to a place called Trek and Dine to eat. For 200 meters from Zorsal, the road is pretty steep. I would say at least at an angle of 40 to 45 degrees. Once you cover that, the road becomes walkable. In fact, it feels amazing to walk through such beautiful views, long pine trees, non-polluted air, etc. etc. It's actually like a therapy. Dharamkot has two parts, Upper Dharamkot and Lower Dharamkot. Zorsal is at Upper Dharamkot and Trek and Dine is in Lower Dharamkot. I had a beer first. You only have two options, Tuborg and Budweiser. Both cost 300 rupees for a 500 ml tin. We then had a chicken lasagna and after that the hummus with pita bread. The food is good and the price I feel is justified. Lower Dharamkot is basically the market area where you can shop, eat and buy alcohol. There are also stay options here. While coming, we came by the proper road, but while going, we chose the shortcut. It's some 500 meters less, but is entirely a climb and a steep one. We just had to cover 700 meters and we took half an hour for the same. That's where we came from, somewhere around there. After coming back, I slept off. At night we played Taboo and then had dinner. This is how it looks after 10 p.m. outside Zorsal. Post dinner we played Uno and then a new card game called Cabo. It's an interesting and fun game and that was the end of day 1. Day 2 began with meditation. Yes, so there is this place called Tushita Meditation Center which is located near Dharamkot Junction. Every day except Sunday they have a free meditation session from 9 in the morning to 10. Definitely worth it. After our session, we came to this small place to eat called the Himalaya Tea Shop. Had some hot aloo parathas there and gulped it down with a hot ginger honey lemon tea. I felt it's a very picturesque tea shop. We then walked to our pottery workshop at Dharamkot Studio. It's just 200 meters away from the junction. The cost was 2000 rupees per person for a 2-hour workshop, which I feel is a little costly. The studio is well designed and the views from the studio is simply amazing. At the end of this workshop, you will definitely have made 3 to 4 pots. It was lunchtime when we are done and hence we came to Moonlight Cafe to eat. We ordered al forno, a potato dish and a chicken pesto pasta. Cost is similar to other well-known cafes here. In the bill, beer is mentioned as good time. Intriguing. Now, Moonlight Cafe is again in Lower Dharamkot, so we had to climb back up like yesterday. But today we took the long cut instead of the ironical shortcut. But on the way it rained, so we had to stop by a tea shop and eventually it took half hour to reach back to Zorsal. In the evening, we came to Birdhouse Cakery, another well-known place to eat in Dharamkot. This one is close to Zorsal, hardly a 5-minute walk. We had pancakes, orange carrot cake, bruschetta and hot chocolate. Hot chocolate is better at the Salvation Cafe of Zorsal and the food is okayish. After that we played cricket with the locals at 7,000 feet. This is the highest place I have played cricket at. After playing for a while, my heart was beating so fast that it felt like a vibrator. We came back to Zorsal after we couldn't see the ball anymore and played Scrabble, then social humor, then Jenga. And finally ended with dumb charades. It was 4 a.m. and the long night was coming to a melodious end. Day 3. 2 days here made us realize that trekking is not for us, so we thought of visiting cafes and places that can be reached with minimal walking. We woke up late, which was obvious. So for brunch, we decided to go to Black Tent, a Tibetan restaurant in McLeodganj. There is a newly made shortcut to McLeodganj from Dharamkot, which is besides the Tushita Meditation Center at Dharamkot Junction. Again, it's a steep road, so coming up by this road will feel like trekking. After 10-15 minutes of trying not to fall walking, you reach the main square of McLeodganj to be greeted by traffic and crowd. That got us over the foam of city life. The traffic was at a standstill and we had to squeeze our way through it to reach the Black Tent restaurant. It's very easy to miss this place, so be alert. The signboard and the entry is pretty small, but we managed to find it. It's a beautiful little restaurant which has a Tibetan touch to it. That's not beer, it's apple juice. Come on, I don't drink at every meal. We ordered thukpa first, which basically is soup, noodles, meat and vegetables mixed in a bowl. I tried my hand at learning to eat with chopsticks, which gave ample time for the dish to cool down. Then came shabale, another Tibetan dish which is seasoned meat filled in dough and fried. This restaurant is run by a single person, a lovely lady. Everything is done by her and hence your food will take some time to be served. Have patience. We then did some shopping. You will find some beautiful bags and diaries here. Also check out the yak wool shawls, they are really good. We also went to the Tibet bookstore where you can find books of Tibetan folk tales. Nearby there was this cafe called the Hollywood Cafe. We went there as it looked fancy. It's a costly place and has a full bar. We just had a cold coffee as we were full from the brunch before. The shopping area and the restaurants are all near the main square of McLeodganj. Near the square you also get auto rickshaws for Dharamkot, Dharamshala and all the sightseeing places which doesn't have very steep roads. Rickshaw from McLeodganj main square to Hotel Hilltop, that's where the steep road to the hostel starts, will cost you 150 rupees. And if you take the rig only till Dharamkot Junction, then it will be 90 rupees. After reaching the hostel, we went for a hike. Again, the motivation was to visit a cafe called Sunset Cafe, as a lot of people had told us about it, especially the view of the sunset from there. For trekkers, this will feel like walking in the park, but for non-trekkers and lazy people like me, this will feel like trekking. The path is simple and scenic. You just have to follow the pipeline and it will take you to the Sunset Cafe and beyond. At certain parts it will be underground, but most of the time you can see the pipeline. After half an hour of hiking, we reached the cafe. It's a small place with a quirky seating arrangement. Now this is a proper hippie sort of cafe, so there will be smoke in the woods. If you're not cool with it, there's another cafe, more like a tapri, just before this cafe. The view from there is also the same. Apparently, this cafe has the best veg pizza in India, according to them. So we ordered one. Can't call it the best, but it definitely was good. I took a time-lapse video of the whole sunset and this is what it looked like. Tip: if you're coming here to see the sunset, come by 5 PM to get good seats, or else you'll have to adjust wherever there is place to sit like we did, even though we reached around 5:30. The crowd grows as the sunset nears. After 6:30 you can find people standing here as it gets that crowded. The sun probably feels like a star here, colloquially. On the way, you will pass the Galu temple. It's a landmark here and also a checkpoint for the famous Triun trek. We ended the day with a campfire. Day 4 was sightseeing day. We planned to explore Mcleodganj. We started the day with visiting Jimmy's Bakery and Cafe in Mcleodganj for breakfast. It's again a small place which had just opened up for the day. We were handed a small notepad where we had to write our order. We had an American breakfast and an English breakfast. The food is good here and the quantity is generous. The cost, I would say, is completely justified, at least for the breakfast. A nice cafe to have breakfast and start your day with. I was completely full and I was just hogging not to waste the food. And the bill is the same notepad you gave your order in. Post our heavy breakfast, we visited the Kalachakra temple. It's an ornately designed Buddhist temple right in the middle of the market. It was built in the Tibetan year 1965, which is 1992 for us. The walls are adorned with the traditional Thangka paintings and the temple has prayer wheels around it. We then continued walking in the market towards the Dalai Lama temple, the reason Mcleodganj is famous. On the way, we saw the terminal of the Mcleodganj ropeway, which we plan to travel in tomorrow. At the entrance of the temple, you will be asked to wear masks. No masks, no entry. As you enter, you will see stories and statues of Tibetan freedom struggle. This is officially called the Thekchen Choling Temple Complex and is an important landmark as well as a tourist attraction here. The whole complex is pretty big and houses the private residence of Dalai Lama. When we went, there was food being served. Now I don't know if it was for free or it was organized by a big group for themselves. The insides of this temple are intricately designed and very colorful with a lot of miniature statues. From the complex, you also get some beautiful views of the ropeway. After you get out of the entry gate, take a U-turn towards the right side, which will get you on the road to Dharamshala. Walk a little ahead and you will find a right turn. Take that turn and you will see a path adorned with prayer flags. You will also see some colorful prayer stones. A little ahead starts the prayer wheel stretch, which goes on till the private residence of Dalai Lama, which is close to the temple from where you have to exit. Just follow the prayer wheels and you will be on the right path. I would say this is a must-do hike if you are visiting the temple. You'll love it. After a point, the path becomes steep and the walking becomes harder. I was trying to go ahead of this old monk, but I just couldn't. Got exhausted after a while and drank a bottle of water. There is a very small restaurant on this steep stretch where you can sit and relax for a bit. This is a compound wall of Dalai Lama's residence, which as you can see is well fortified for obvious reasons. From here too, you get good views of the ropeway. We then walked back to the rickshaw stand at Mcleodganj main square and took a rig to Naddi, a sightseeing point and also a village. The auto guy quoted some 400 rupees for the round trip. The prices are fixed here and there is no point in bargaining, so save your time and energy. On the way, we stopped at St. John in the Wilderness Church, which was built in 1852. It's a beautiful church at an amazing location. The neo-Gothic architecture is just spectacular and the construction is such that it withstood the devastating earthquake that happened in Kangra in 1905, which is said to have destroyed around 1 lakh buildings in Dharamshala, Mcleodganj and other nearby areas. Photography is strictly prohibited inside and there is a man to stop you from clicking pictures. Nevertheless, it's really peaceful inside and one can sit for as long as they want. Nearby the church there is also a graveyard which looks beautiful in the day. In the night I'm sure it will definitely look like a scene from an horror movie. We saw it from our rig and thought of getting down while coming back, but the rig took a different route while returning. On the way, we also saw the Dal Lake, which now hardly has any water, so you can take it off your list. On reaching Naddi, you have to walk for some 100 meters to reach the viewpoint. With the right amount of rainy clouds, the view is marvelous. You have a telescope at this point to see a temple, waterfall and a village on the opposite mountain, which is very far, and the charge is 10 rupees. If you continue on the road, you will see a meditation center and a school where the road ends. While returning, the road was spiraling down, just like my life is, but it's more scenic. Well, you go anywhere in the mountains and it's scenic. That's for the initial few days. Once we reached the main square, it was past 4 p.m, so we went to the Tibet Kitchen, which is a well-known restaurant here. It has 3 levels of seating and we sat at the top level. From there you get a bird's eye view of the market road, which is if you choose to sit outside and also if those seats are available. I'm pretty sure this is how a crow sees us. We ordered mutton thukpa and tingmo, both Tibetan dishes. Tingmo is basically Tibetan bread. After a good meal, we went back to the rickshaw stand to go towards the hostel. What do we call a meal between lunch and dinner? Dunch? Lunner? That is the Salvation Cafe at Zostel, the outer sitting area. You can also sit inside on the cushions. That evening we played Housey, also called as Tambola, also called as Bingo. Just outside Zostel, there's a cute little place to eat called Honey's Falafel. Now, there are a lot of Israelis here, and hence it's common to find Israeli food at almost all the cafes here. We were full from Tibet kitchen, so we just had a ginger lemon honey tea. At night, we went up the cafe of Zorsal to play games, but within no time the rain came down heavily and the light went off. As time passed, the rain became more aggressive, the winds became furious, and the lightning was just lashing out. The rain was so heavy that in a few seconds we'll get completely drenched, and hence we had to wait till the rain subsided. Day 5. This is how it looked the next day morning. It was still raining, albeit lightly as compared to yesterday. So we had a breakfast in Zorsal, chana puri and aloo paratha. Food is really good at Zorsal. Every single thing I ate here was good. Even if you're not staying at Zorsal, come here to have the food. It was a lazy day and we played Cabo till lunchtime. For lunch we visited Young Monk Cafe, which is nearby Zorsal. It's a decent looking cafe with amazing views. There we played this interesting game called string hockey, which feels like carom in a way. We ordered a creamy garlic mushroom pasta, which got over in no time. Then came a paneer pizza and finally a well-dressed chicken steak with bacon on top of it. Quality of the food is good, but quantity is less. Hence I would include this in the list of costly cafes in Dharamkot. The views are fantastic. Since it was drizzling, we spent the afternoon in Zorsal. Once the rain stopped and the skies were getting clear, we hopped to another cafe called Flugler. This is on the shortcut to Lower Dharamkot, some 5 minutes away from Zorsal. That's while going down, and an eternity while coming up. Flugler Cafe is a fancy little cafe which is situated at a quiet place. We had pancakes and an interesting dish called Nutella chocolate ball. Food looked delicious but was just okayish. Felt nothing great about this cafe apart from the pricing, which is really great as inexpensive. By the time we were done at the cafe, it was the golden hour. We came back to Zorsal and started playing our usual game, Cabo. I would encourage you all to look it up on the internet and play. It's a pretty interesting game. Before dinner, Zorsal had organized a game of dart. We were all divided into 2 teams and the winning team would get free hot chocolate. That night, I had a nice cup of hot chocolate. For dinner, we had chapatis and a mixed veg bhaji. Day 6. Time had come to leave. We checked out from Zorsal. The place for which we thought 6 days is too much suddenly felt too less. Maybe it's just the fact that going back to reality hurts. The roads that we walked on daily felt special today. The trees that we saw daily had eyes on them. Anyways, life is all about moving on. We took a taxi till Mcleodganj ropeway for 250 rupees and the plan was to take the ropeway to Dharamshala. As soon as we reached the main square, traffic was waiting for us to bid farewell. There was some event at the Dalai Lama temple which had just got over and people were pouring out. We waited for some time but eventually took our bags and walked as we had a long day ahead. We entered the ropeway station and stood in the long line to take the tickets. It's 300 rupees for one person to cross over to Dharamshala and 500 rupees if you take a return ticket. In a few minutes our car arrived and we were inside. I am 100% afraid of heights. And as soon as our car left the station, I became pale. But after some time, to my relief, you kind of become okay with it. The views are amazing as always and it's something which you have to do if you are coming here. Within 15 minutes, you reach Dharamshala. From there, we took a taxi to Dharamshala Cricket Stadium and on the way, we stopped at Kala Momos, a famous place for momos here. It's actually a restaurant called Shere Punjab Dhaba, but it's well known as Kala Momo. Chicken momos cost 150 rupees and is definitely worth it. One of the tastiest momos I have eaten. To come here, you will have to let your taxi driver know in advance, as there is a small detour to reach this place. You won't be charged extra. After having the momos, we left for the stadium. Now the war memorial is on the way, so you can visit that too if you have the time. We didn't. That's us entering the stadium complex. It looks very different from the normal cricket stadium. It can easily pass as a huge resort or something. Moving a little ahead, you will start getting the feel of a stadium. Unfortunately, the stadium was kind of dug up and hence we missed the grass. But still, the stadium looked very scenic. The Dharamshala Cricket Stadium is the highest international cricket ground in the world. Now that's a reason to visit it. We then came to the bus stand of Dharamshala. The taxi ride cost us 800 rupees. Again, there was no point in bargaining as the rates are pre-decided. So you either take it or leave it. The time was 1 p.m. and we had to reach Jalandhar by 8 p.m. to board our train to Mumbai. Jalandhar is 200 kilometers from Dharamshala and we had 7 hours. So first we took a bus to Pathankot, which we reached in 3 hours, even though it had a lot of stops and also stopped for filling diesel on the way. Since the bus was by a private operator, it can't enter the Pathankot bus station, so you have to get down at the highway. From there you take a rig to Pathankot bypass. Now ask the bus conductor if the bus will go to the bypass. If it does, then stay in the bus and get down at the bypass. From the bypass we took the state government bus for Jalandhar. Any bus towards Delhi will stop at Jalandhar. It was a super fast bus with very less stops, hardly 3 I guess, in the 110 kilometer stretch. Within 2 hours we reached the bypass of Jalandhar and took a rig from there to the railway station. Jalandhar city is a pretty big station, unlike what I had imagined. After an hour or so, the train arrived and we boarded it. That's how my long trip of 6 days came to an end. So that's my new beard and also the end of the video. If you have any questions of what and how to do things in Dharamkot or Mcleodganj, do comment and I will be replying to you. Do like the video and also share it with your friends who are going to Dharamshala and do not trek like me. So yeah, see you in another video. Please subscribe and take care. Bye.